Wizards of the Coast has just announced a new secret Lair Superdrop, and it contains a bunch of awesome elements. We've got chibi planeswalkers, we've got the Street Fighter secret lair, and we've got absolutely gorgeous lands.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered to talk about the newest batch of secret lairs. Now, we did dive into the Street Fighter one previously because that got spoiled in advance, but the rest of the secret lairs we're going to talk about are all new. So let's not waste any time. Let's dive right in. So we're starting right out with the adorable little chibi walkers. You get Tamiyo the Moon Sage, a Johnny Mentor of Heroes, Angrath the Flame Chained, Ashiok Dream Render, and Sorin Grim Nemesis, all rendered as adorably little giganto-headed versions of themselves. And there are some fun little aspects of the individual artworks that I really enjoy. For example, Tamiyo the Moon Sage, you can actually see sitting on the moon, and behind the moon is tucked a little Emrakul, kind of shyly peeking out. And if you know the lore behind it, you know that Emrakul is currently inside of Innistrad's moon because of Tamiyo. So I like the little touches like that. I like the way that this artwork kind of transforms the nature of these planeswalkers. Ashiok, for example, goes from being this nightmare vendor into just this sort of cute Princess Mononoke, I've got the forest spirits hanging out with me kind of vibe, right? They are still shadow beasts, and ultimately Ashiok is still a dangerous being, but the contrast to the normal Ashiok in this is quite enjoyable for me. Same kind of deal with Sorin Grim Nemesis. He's got that sort of like, I'm a little moody child vibe, which really fits for Sorin in either incarnation, let's be real. The Innistrad one that we just saw, where he looks like he's on his cell phone at his dad's party or whatever. It's like, this is weak, bro. That kind of vibe. Johnny looks, you know, pretty normal. He's giving you the little wink. Angrath is the only one that feels like odd to me, just because Angrath, he just wants to get home to his family. He's just trying to get home to his wife. So just this tiny little version of him with this look on his face is just like, I gotta get home to my wife. It's just, I don't know, there's something about it that I very much enjoy. So this particular secret lair is going for $30 for the non-foil and $40 for the foil version. I'm just rounding up. Technically, they're $29.99 and $39.99, but come on, let's be real. That's just a marketing tactic that every business uses to make you think what you're buying is like cheaper than it is. So I'm just gonna say 30 and 40, right? Moving on to the next secret lair. It is introducing Kaito Shizuki, and you can tell Wizards of the Coast really wanted to give Kaito a strong introduction to Magic the Gathering players because they put some real powerful cards in this secret lair. You get Brain Freeze, Bribery, Snap, Unmask, and Shadow of Doubt. Particularly, Bribery and Unmask stand out to me. Brain Freeze and Snap are just commons and uncommons. They are good cards. They've been reprinted a ton of times, so it's not like they have a ton of value associated with them, but they are powerful cards and great effects to include here. But Bribery and Unmask, to me, are just on a much higher level. Basically, it goes Bribery and Unmask, then you've got Shadow of Doubt in the middle, Brain Freeze and Snap at the bottom in terms of card desirability. Bribery is a card you do not see reprinted very frequently, and it's an incredibly powerful effect. It's just going through your opponent's deck, grabbing a card and slamming it into play is so strong. But my favorite thing about this particular secret lair has to be the concept on Shadow of Doubt. Obviously, these cards are telling part of the story of Kaito, right? You can see these are different points in the story, but the Shadow of Doubt ties in Phyrexia. So for me, that's extra point land. If you look at the flavor text, it says, Kaito followed the clues his sister gave him, only to find his friend dead at the hands of a monster. And at first, your attention's just kind of drawn to Kaito. But the more you look at the artwork, the more you start to see the shadow in the background. And you see Jin Gitaxias there with almost this maniacal cackling face. It's just a great scene, and I'm a sucker for stuff that involves Phyrexia. So, moving on, before we do that, actually, same price for this secret lair as the previous one. $30 for the non-foil and $40 for the foil version. Now, we've got special guest Yuko Shimizu, and this particular secret lair has Hikori Dust Drinker, Kira Great Glass Spinner, Eidolon of the Great Revel, and Elvish Spirit Guide. This is sort of a mixed bag in terms of the cards they've selected because two of them are from the world of Kamigawa. Hikori and Kira tie straight into Kamigawa, each given a new flavor text to give them a different kind of vibe that still ties into the same flavor overall. So, the flavor text for Hikori says, Dust Drinker, the Swirling Storm, the Scarring Wind, or is it the Searing Wind? Sorry, the Searing Wind. Hikori had many names, but none of them was the Merciful. There you go. It's kind of funny because he looks like a gigantic dust cloud with a mouth just ready to eat you. In one way, before he opens his mouth, he wouldn't look that intimidating, right? Oh, maybe the force of the actual, like, spirit wind flying around you might be enough, but either way, Kira, to me, is such a crazy card. The fact that it is a 2/2 flyer for 3 mana, that makes it so all your creatures have the ability, whenever the creature becomes the target of a spell or ability for the first time each turn, counter that spell or ability. This is a very, very powerful ability, and the flavor text ties in with it so well. The samurai struck the fragile-looking bubble, and her sword shattered into countless pieces. That is a really cool concept, but my favorite thing about this secret lair is the Elvish Spirit Guide, for a number of different reasons. First of all, it's just beautiful. It has that kind of a feel that an Elvish Spirit Guide should. She's got that sylvan nature to her. It's got this peaceful kind of vibe. As she trails along, nature just sort of grows in her wake, and she seems so attenuated to nature that her hair kind of looks like vines, and it's almost flowing into the vines and flowers that are behind her. She's almost dragging them along behind her like a blanket, and she's in this joyous leap with these birds flying around. It's absolutely beautiful artwork, right? But there's an extra level to this card for me, and that's the flavor text, because it says, the spirits of the Whispering Woods are mysterious and mercurial. Follow one, and you're just as likely to end up at the center of the forest as you are at your own front door. And that is a quote from Greensleeves, High Wizard of the Domains. Now, if you don't know who Greensleeves is actually a character from the pre-Urza, the pre-Brothers War era storylines. We're talking a storyline so ancient that it completely changes the way that you view planeswalkers and how they summon up creatures. And I don't want to give away too many spoilers about the storyline because I do want to cover it over on Fantasy Geographic where I cover Magic lore. But just rest assured, a card quoting Greensleeves that at the same time reimagines Elvish Spirit Guide into this lovely being is an absolute home run. This card, far and away, is one of my absolute favorites from this entire Super Drop. This is really, really cool to me. Now, this secret lair, again, is $30 for the regular and $40 for the foil version. After that, we've got one that only comes in foil, and that is the Showcase Neon Dynasty. And I'm not sure how I feel about the style of these cards, just because I need to see them in person to really get it. Sometimes when they do different styles for Magic cards, when you're holding them in hand versus seeing the digital version, there is a wide gulf. And sometimes that means the cards look better in person, and sometimes it means they look worse. So for me, Admittedly, this style doesn't look the greatest digitally. I'm hoping that it translates better physically, because there are definitely some interesting cards included in this one. We've got Ghostly Prison, Freed from the Real, Boseiju Who Shelters All, and Hall of the Bandit Lord. And Boseiju actually features into the story of the rebirth of all of the Kamigawa dragons. I think that's a really cool include to have here. These cards are all from the original Kamigawa block, so they're all good choices that way. It is a little bit odd to me to see Freed from the Real, just because that's a common card, but admittedly also with what it does, it has become over time quite the combo enabler. So it's really moved from that category of everyday common into not easy to get common. Wizards will now, from now on, only make this uncommon or rare. The same thing that they did with Rhystic Studies. Once a card becomes popular enough, it gets that treatment. So this is an interesting style choice here in terms of giving you 2 lands and then a white and a blue card. I'm not sure exactly what the idea was here. It's not spread across the different colors. It's very strange in that regard. It's just, and you wouldn't even really use these cards in the same deck. You're probably not going to play Ghostly Prison in your Freed from the Real combo deck along with Boseiju and Hall of the Bandit Lord. So there's not that much to tie all these together in that regard. It's really just the yellow bordering and then having aspects of that yellow, although it also illustrated in the artwork. You've got the blades pointing in the Ghostly Prison. You've got the swirling nexus in Freed from the Real. Boseiju has those little kind of paper talismans. And then Hall of the Bandit Lord has these arrows of power firing up off of what actually looks like modern buildings. So I guess this is set in current Kamigawa? Is that what's going on here? All right, interesting. Okay, so this one, as I said, is only in foil. So this secret layer is actually $50, all right? Moving on, we've got Shades Not Included. If you like 80s synthwave, now this is going to be your secret layer. These are actually hand-drawn basic lands. So you get one of each type, obviously, and you take a look at them. They do have obviously that heavy 80s synthwave vibe. Either you lived through that era and you know what I'm talking about, or you may be familiar. There are channels on YouTube that actually have videos using this particular style. So they'll have like a synthwave car cruising down a street or something in the background while music is playing, and it is pretty striking. So this is one of those secret layers that is definitely going to be to taste, right? If you're into synthwave, this is going to be a big hit. But if you don't care about synthwave, you may just go, this one isn't for me. So this one is available in both foil and non-foil. So the non-foil is $30 and the foil is $40. And these are, I guess I should have said it probably before, American prices. Obviously, the different prices for different areas are listed online. The next secret layer is Pictures of the Floating World, all right? So these are the hideaway lands from the Lorwyn block, but redone as locations in Kamigawa instead. So the hideaway lands were a very interesting concept. How it works is when you put a hideaway land out, you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, and you put one of them under the hideaway land. And then once you have met the particular conditions of the hideaway land, then you are allowed to play the spell under the land, not for free, but by only paying the activation cost. So for example, if you take a look at the green land that's listed there, right? That's Moss Warp Bridge. So basically the deal with that one is you need to have 10 powers worth of creatures out. So it's a land that taps for a green mana. When it comes into play, you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, you pick one, you put it onto that land. Once you have 10 powers worth of creatures out, then you can pay 1 green and tap it and play the spell under it for free. So it just gives you one little free spell tucked away that you can play when you've met particular conditions. Now, obviously the big draw for these is the restyling into Kamigawa. And I have to say, these are incredibly striking. Like specifically for me, the Windbrisk Heights, this palace set up in a giant cherry blossom tree with waterfalls dripping off of it is absolutely incredible. It is so fantastical. I love it. This is the kind of location that when you see it, you wish it existed in real life. I wouldn't even need to live there. Just knowing that this was in the same world as me would be enough. It's so gorgeous. I also really love the Shell Dock Isle with the waves flaring up around it, just splashing, almost reaching around it in every direction. I really dig it. You've got the giant tortoise shell with the shrine kind of built on the back of it. That's just really, really cool. I also find the mountain to be quite striking, but honestly, the Windbrisk Heights and the Shell Dock Isle are much better than the other ones that are in here. It's no competition for me, but I do understand that these are subjective taste kind of choices, right? So obviously, if you like the other ones more, that's totally fine by me. Now, in terms of the pricing for these, they are going to be $30 for the regular and $40 for the foil. They are not available in English as far as I understand. They will only be available done in this style, in the ukiyo-e Japanese art style. So it's a particular design choice. You may be frustrated by it, and if you are, I understand that. Now, let us move on to a silly secret layer in terms of the name. This is Kamigawa, the manga, the cards. So they made a Kamigawa manga, and these are cards based on it. You get Idyllic Tutor, Swords to Plowshares, Solve the Equation, Praetor's Grasp, and Veil of Summer. It's an interesting array of choices, and the artwork is funky as well, right? Like, look at Idyllic Tutor. You have Kaido like leaping through the air, honestly making me think of those crazy movies where they have like the wire sucked up to people so they can do these insane leaps in the air and sword fight for 5 minutes in the air in the middle of a leap. Like, I love that. This Swords to Plowshares is an interesting take on the concept as well, I have to say. Having like somebody being cut down here, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like the creature's being exiled here, especially since the artwork is depicting Jin Gataxis getting like taken down by the Wanderer. But the thing is, Jin Gataxis doesn't get destroyed in this encounter. Jin Gataxis survives. So the card that does 4 damage, the instant that does 4 damage that we actually got in the Kamigawa set, that makes more sense as this concept because it's not enough to destroy Jin Gataxis, but enough to take him out of the battle. Whereas this artwork is saying that the Wanderer permanently removed Jin Gataxis from existence. So I'm just going, wait, that doesn't sound right. You know, it's like he's knocked out of the fight, but he's still around. Anyhow, I find the Veil of Summer artwork to be particularly enjoyable. I love the way that Tamio is floating up in the air there. It is pretty sweet. I mean, Tamio is the big deal for me in Kamigawa, let's be real, because like I said, I'm super influenced by Phyrexians and all that goodness. So if you take a look at the Praetor's Grasp and you can see, it's like, not only do you have the artwork depicting this dark scenario, but look at the flavor text. Wake up, new Phyrexian planeswalker. You will not be the last. Oh, man! Chills. Chills up the spine, bro. Phyrexians converting planeswalkers, taking over the multiverse. This is the kind of threat that we need in Magic the Gathering. This is the kind of stuff that gets me mega hyped. Like, I am so hyped about this. Now, we do have one more secret layer to talk about. Obviously, you guys know which one that is because we've talked about it already. And that is the Street Fighter secret layer. Now, in the previous video where I talked about it way more in depth, we didn't have high quality artwork, but I did say quite a bit about it. So I'll leave a link to that video at the end, but I'm going to quickly talk about them here as well because we do have nicer looking images so I can enjoy the artwork more. So, we've got E Honda Sumo Champion, and just as I suspected, he is 100-hand slapping a car. I loved that part of the Street Fighter game, when you got to take that like little mini break where now instead of fighting, you're just gonna beat up a car. I'm just a crazy karate master just smashing. It's like, I'm E Honda and I'm about to smash up your Honda, bro. Like, I loved that so much. So E-Honda smashing up a car feels great to me. You've got Ryu and Ken, kind of like the mirror images of each other, which are really sweet. I love that they're both white and red. The Hadouken having the untap ability that kind of mimics what you would need to do on the joystick to activate the ability feels absolutely great. You've got Blanca literally crouched down doing that electrifying ability that used to drive me crazy. My friends were so good with that. Then you got Chun-Li in here. I played Chun-Li so much. She got them powerful legs, can do the giant leap and kickins and all that. Then you got Dalsim, who was just, yeah, that guy unsettled me. Rubber band man. He can just stretch himself out. It always felt weird. Sure, other people have crazy abilities. You know, Guile can throw sonic booms and Ryu can whip fireballs around, but there's just something about being able to stretch your body out. It's like there's something different about focusing spirit magic outside yourself and then just stretching your body. Like, don't you need more atoms to do that? Where are your bones going? Like, it just, my brain goes, what is going on with this? So Dalsim was always crazy to me when I was a kid. Now I can see that Guile's hair is the proper flat top like in the game. In the previous gritty image, it totally looked like he had a Chef Boyardee hat. Guile is I Love America man. He's literally got like American flags tattooed on his shoulders. He's so hardcore. Oh, and we can finally see what his full ability is. He gains lifelink and indestructible and 4 damage to any target. Okay, that was what was missing from the other one. And Zangief is a 7-4. Wow, his toughness is even higher than I thought it would be. He's awesome. He's wrestling a bear. How ridiculously awesome is that? I love it. The Street Fighter Secret Lair is a lot of fun. So, this one is going to be $40 for the regular and $50 for the foil. That wraps up all of the secret layers that we're going to talk about. I'll leave a link to the Street Fighter one in case you want to hear me talk about that more in depth. And other than that, thanks for coming by, my friends. Big shout out to my patrons, and I will see you guys next time.